Welcome, friends, welcome. We come to spiritual community this morning with many hopes in our hearts. The hope for inspiration, the hope for comfort, the hope for renewal. In this time and space, may inspiration water our thirsty souls. In this time and space, may comfort blossom in the gardens of our hearts and bring us sweet relief. In this time and space, may renewal course through us, as electric as a surge of energy, as serene as a nourishing meal, as contagious as joy, and bring us vitality and rejuvenation. May our time together honor all the hopes we hold within. May our time together bless us with the gifts of inspiration, comfort, and renewal. Let us worship together.
I breathe in the warmth of this light, its glow filling the spaces where fear and doubt reside. I breathe out the tension I carry. I release what no longer serves me. I breathe in the strength of our community, a sanctuary of diverse voices and shared purpose. I breathe out the urge to go it alone. I embrace the power of togetherness. I breathe in the courage to speak truth even when it trembles my lips. I breathe out the silence that holds me back. I make space for honesty and justice. I breathe in the hope of transformation, knowing we are here to build and to heal. I breathe out despair, trusting that change is born in small acts of love. As we light this chalice, may each breath remind us of the sacred rhythm of life, the pulse of creation, and the power we hold to shape the world around us. Well, good morning. Good to see you all today. Thanks to everyone who's watching us online or will see this in the future. And thanks for those of us who are here today. This is our time for all ages. And I think Colin and Tyson are the lone representatives of the under 50? Oh, no, sorry, didn't mean to offend some of you. But Colin and Tyson, you don't have to get up during our time. Yeah, right, 40. We'll say 40 to be fair. Truthful, maybe. So today I want to talk about our bodies. And so I want to ask Colin and Tyson, how old are you respectively? How old are these? Colin? 10. So you're not supposed to forget those things. People like me are. So 10 and 12? Okay, 10 and 12. Like, I remember that. Like, I bet in the morning when you're getting out of bed, your body just gets out of bed, right? It explodes out of bed. You probably don't even have to think about it very much. And I can remember when I was, 15, 16, it didn't matter what I was doing the day before. I could have been working in the yard. I could have been swimming. I could have run a marathon. I would say, time to get up. My body would jump right out of bed. It was magical. It was beautiful. And at the time, I didn't appreciate it. And then I got to be sort of in my late 20s and early 30s. And in the morning, there started to be a conversation between my mind and my body. I'd say, let's get up. And my body would say, I don't know. And then I would say, really, we got to get up. And then it would say, let's just rest for a second. Sure. But we would get up and everything would be fine. Well, 10 years goes by and now I'm around 30 something, 40. And in the morning, there is now a negotiation, right? I say, time to get up. My body says, wait, let's rethink this. How about we stay in bed? Because I'm not feeling very good. I'm sore in places that I don't know why I'm sore. But then eventually my body would say, okay, I'm getting up, but we're ordering wings later as a reward. So then I get to be about this age, which is 56, and now there's a tense standoff in the morning. Because I injured myself the other day. I injured myself stretching. And the first thing I did was say, no, that was a bad decision because I hurt myself. So now there's a standoff when I say, I want to get up, and my body says, no, we're not doing that today. And then there's this long debate. And finally, my body says, all right, I'm going to work into this, but I'm going to order something online and we're getting wings, right? I need like more rewards. And I'm aware that soon there's going to come a day when we're going to move from conversation to negotiation to standoff to complete rebellion. Someday my body is going to say, nope, we're staying in bed. I've already ordered online. The wings are being sent over by Grubhub, and this is where we're going to be. Now, why do I share that? Colin and Tyson are saying, why are you telling us all this? Well, here's the thing. We don't appreciate these bodies. We don't appreciate how much they do for us and the way they carry us through this life and the way that we have weathered such difficulty and so many heartaches and the beautiful things we've participated in. And so whatever age you are, whether you feel you're too short or you're not big enough or you're too big or you're too wrinkled or you're not functioning the way you wish you were functioning, realize that you've been carried through this life by this physical body. And so the best we can do is say, however we are today, thank you for still being here so that I can be present in this world. And I'm going to think of all of you tomorrow morning as I'm trying to get out of bed again in a day that might not be easy to go into, right? So treasure your body today, whatever condition it arrived in. Come to our time of meditation and rest. And I had some readings planned, but what I think I would like to share is I was talking during the Time for All Ages on our bodies and was thinking about the fact that the trauma and the suffering and the injustice that we see every day, that's where it's living right now. And so where you are, I just want to ask you just to rest. Close your eyes if it's helpful. Where you are at home, try to limit the noise around you if possible, or just hear what's happening in the room and just accept it, welcome it. Breathe slowly and deeply if you are able. Begin to still yourself, calm the noise in your head. Consider the body that you inhabit right now. All that it has seen, the days it has weathered, the traumas that are stored up in it. Think about the feet that have carried you into places where there's pain and that you have alleviated that pain. Think about the feet that have taken you into places of courage. Think about the places you have walked where you met beauty. Think about the hands that have held those grieving and the way that you have carried that grief. Think about the hands that have brought healing, that have fed hungry. Think about the eyes that have seen things on this journey that are indescribable in both their beauty and their brutality. Think about the heart in the center of your chest and all that it has held, all that it has bore witness to. Feel the breath in your lungs expand and contract. Be mindful that while you still have breath, there is still good work to be done in this world. And as you hear the sound of my voice, think about all that you are capable of hearing, the cries of the poor, the needs of the outcast, the suffering in your midst. Now think about the toll that all of it has taken on you. How tired you are. And as you have compassion for this world, seek to have some for yourself. Give your body places to rest, your mind time to be still. Even in these next few minutes, take a moment and just be. Last weekend, like many of you, I participated in the No Kings protests, and I gathered with massive humanity on Capitol Boulevard with many of you in North Raleigh to protest this authoritarian regime, to oppose the illegal and oppressive tactics of ICE, and to advocate for a diversity that is being preyed upon. Now, there's a famous expression, misery loves company, but you may have heard me say, I don't believe misery loves company, it craves community. Being in the company of like-hearted human beings is medicinal. It embraces us, it comforts us, it encourages us, and it also reminds us of things we have forgotten. See, sometimes you don't notice internal attrition when it happens. When you lose elemental parts of yourself, they don't depart all at once. And since you're inside of yourself in the daily woundings of this life, you may not feel the thousands of tiny cuts at the time. You may not notice the lifeblood slowly draining from your spirit. In fact, you may believe you're who you've always been until something reminds you of the you used to be. And No King's Day reminded me of the me I used to be even a few months ago. And some of the things I'd lost since then. As I stood shoulder to shoulder with a massive, sweaty army of ordinary activists lining the street, the first thing I noticed was something that I'd been missing. Maybe some of you have. Joy. There's a silent toll that witnessing so much suffering takes on compassionate people, especially when you work so hard to remain awake and aware, being reminded every day of just how many human beings are experiencing such wasteful brutality can gradually suffocate the spirit, rendering us joyless. And one of the first sounds I noticed as I found myself within that pulsating mass of humanity on the highway was the sound of laughter, and it was my own. I realized it had been a while since I heard it like this, easy, constant, booming. That joy was restorative. It was infectious, because this was not a dour, dismal acknowledgement of defeat as much as it was a joyfully defiant dance party of pissed off people who haven't let a minority movement of misery make them incapable of jubilation. Neuropsychologist Paul Purcell says, true joy results when we become aware of our connectedness to everything. And that connectedness is easy to notice and to celebrate when everyone around you is doing the same thing. And so we need community, but not just community. We need intentional community, purposeful community. That is what hopefully all of us find here. Joy is essential as we work for liberation. It is the counterpoint to the misery of those seeking other people's imprisonment or their eradication. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I were invited to Richmond to see comedian Cliff Cash. You may not be familiar with him, but let's just say he's also not fond of our current national leadership or the culture that it's created. And as Cliff was introduced that night, they played a British anti-Nazi folk song through the speakers to wild applause and singing and clapping. And we were singing and clapping, and there was a cathartic moment as we all welcomed in the subversive, liberating power of laughter. Joy was there in the streets on No King's Day, and so was hope. Novelist Barbara Kingslover says, the very least you can do in life is to figure out what you hope for. And the most you can do is to live inside that hope. To not admire it from a distance, but live right in it, under its roof. See, one of the goals of authoritarian regimes or totalitarian leaders is to extinguish the lightness from people, to inundate them with a legion of emergencies and nightmares requiring so much energy that they begin to lose the ability to see anything ahead worth pursuing. See, when optimism dries up, the future becomes a bleak, foregone conclusion. And I hadn't realized I had been chronically emotionally dehydrated for a while. Like being chronically deprived of water, I wasn't functioning at my best. Maybe you have not been functioning at your best. That is, once until I was surrounded by a swirling technicolor sea of activists and fighters and healers and helpers and dreamers in the blazing North Carolina sun, which did see through the clouds. I can testify to that. But I could feel hope returning within me, but not a naive hope that denies the gravity of the moment or the reality of the threats, but a hope that refuses to let this ugliness have the last word. As our friends from Star Wars Andor remind us, rebellions are built on hope. Anne Frank said in her diary, I don't think of all the misery, but of the beauty that still remains. So there in the streets with people like you, I found joy, I found hope, and I found my people. See, there's been a story that's made the headlines in my head lately. Maybe you have a similar front page, bold type story. The one of this nation's certain demise. The one where fascism's presence will be permanent. The one where we are now hopelessly overrun in both the government and our electorate with violent, hateful, cruel people who find joy in the suffering of others. And while there's no denying that there is a portion of America that fits that description, the vast majority of people here, many who made their presence unmistakably felt throughout this nation by the millions, is comprised of beautiful, loving, even patriotic human beings who don't just believe in the idea of America, but they embody it. I remember that during its nearly quarter of a millennium history, this place has always been a crucible of conflict because the country we aspire to cannot be incarnated without it. I was on social media yesterday and a woman showed up on my feed with a reel video where she was about to warn viewers about some frightening moments in the military. And she began by saying, we are screwed. We are absolutely screwed. And at first I got angry at those defeatist statements. Because what can you follow that with other than despair? But then I didn't get angry because I realized that a couple thousand times recently, some version of that sentence came from my keyboard or my mouth or certainly rang around in my head. I have to keep asking whether I believe that or not. Do I believe America is a lost cause? Or is that just a release valve that my mind needs to alleviate the pressures of so much negativity and so much bad news? But I know that it's a lot easier to believe in the possibilities when I am with people who give me a reason to believe that. You know, I was at Pride yesterday, as I said, and the energy and the feelings there were quite similar. Liberty was incarnated. Diverse humanity was present. And I was talking with a friend last night, and she said, you know, I've had this emotional high of No King's Day, and this emotional high of Pride, and now I have this precipitous fall into normal life. But I reminded her that every single one of those people who filled the streets 2 weeks ago, and who filled the streets yesterday, they're still there. They're still here making their mark. They're still doing the work of being human. It's just more difficult to remember without an event, right? But we need to be people who remember that humanity is still doing the work of humanity. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who is transgender who shared the story of meeting an elderly couple at last year's Pride in their city. And that Pride happened to fall on their birthday. And they met an elderly couple and they had a conversation, and my friend said it's my birthday, and they exchanged a birthday hug. Well, my friend went to Pride this weekend, saw that elderly couple, and they had brought with them a birthday card for them. They had carried that all year from this one meeting. And here's the thing, that's not going to trend on social media. It's not going to make the news. It won't reach most of us as we sit in the discouraging noise of an administration doing such damage to the trans community, but it is still there. And those stories are still playing out. Fred Rogers says, we live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. But then there are those who see the need and respond, and I consider those people my heroes. As I was president in No King's Day, I made a playlist on Spotify, and the song we started with was a song on that playlist, and that kept ringing out the whole time I was there at No King's Day. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free while one of us is chained. None of us are free. See, friends, the heart of the civil rights movement has been the reality that no one is free until all of us are free. And in his commencement speech at Oberlin College, Dr. King said, all I'm saying is simply this, that all mankind is tied together. All life is interrelated. We're all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of identity. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. He said, for some strange reason, I cannot be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. None of us are free. While one of us is chained, none of us are free. Friends, interdependence is our reality. Connectedness is unavoidable. And liberation has to be collective. And so we who work for justice, for peace, for diverse coexistence, we need to be continually aware of all the ways in which people are still in captivity. So I was there at No Kings, and we're lining the highway, and I realized there were kind of three groups of people. The protesters like me who believe themselves fully devoted to the cause of democracy and diversity. There were people driving by, honking, smiling, and waving, giving us peace signs, many of them flying Mexican or Puerto Rican or Argentine flags and offering gratitude for our presence. And then there were those choosing to drive by not smiling, giving us half the peace sign, clearly not thrilled that we were there. It was a visible reminder that we weren't just gathering there to free oppressed people from those who would see them in physical, emotional, financial, and legislative bondage. We were gathered to free the oppressors whose minds still have them imprisoned in a poisonous hatred for strangers. We were gathering to free the voices of people of privilege who have allowed their comfort and their cowardice to render them silent for far too long. Today we can look around at our nation and we can see how far so many are from liberation. We can think about our immigrant brothers and sisters, our queer friends, the black community, the women of this nation, and fight to emancipate them from systems and laws and political practices and religious ideologies that would take away the human and civil rights that give them access to happiness. Collective liberation is what we're called to bring. None of us are free. While one of us is chained, none of us are free. Juneteenth, as many of you know, marked the day in 1865 when troops arrived in Galveston, Texas to declare the emancipation of all Americans. Even though they had been freed for 3 years, black people had received freedom, but they had been denied the news of that freedom by people who did not want them to be free. And today we can look at the state of Texas and wonder if any time has actually passed, if the news of freedom has even reached some folks there. Because 162 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, there are people in Texas and in Florida and Tennessee and North Carolina and all over this country who are trying to rewind the clock of national progress back. Friends, on this collective journey toward a just and fair nation, one where the universal worth of every human being is honored, the disheartening news is that we're clearly not all free. But the good news, and it is very good news, is that we are not passive passengers in this trip. Each of us has proximity and agency and the expansive space of our choices to bring liberation. We have our individual wills and our circles of influence and our daily decisions and our social media profiles to usher in the news of equality's truth. Not only that, but we have our collective voices and our shared resources and our chosen communities to incarnate a place where more people experience the reality of their liberation. The truth is, in a life where we are all tethered together, we're all waiting for freedom to come. This long after the events of Juneteenth, we all need to continue marching into the fortified strongholds of racism, to be the last holdouts against injustice, and to confront the people who would hold on to injustice in our homes, in our neighborhoods, in our schools, in our churches. We need to declare that all people are not yet free and deserve to be. And we need to help release white Americans from the prisons of bad theology, predatory politics, irrational fear, and unconfronted privilege that maintain the sickening status quo. Because until that happens, the cancer of racism will remain, and slavery will not be in our regrettable past and our grievous present, but our disfigured future. And Pride, as I said, was a joyful and massive gathering of affirmation and love for the LGBTQ community, even while they are under greater duress than ever. 56 years after the Stonewall riots, we need to make sure that the humanity of the LGBTQ community is not up for debate. Because until gay couples no longer fear losing their marriage equality, and until transgender people can safely inhabit the bodies that their minds see, and until queer people are not made into monsters by those who wish to erase them, we cannot rest in the work of their liberation. Every human being here deserves to find joy and be truly free in their shoes and in their skin and in their heads. And until we see that day, none of us are free. While one of us is chained, none of us are free. So the invitation today is to look for the places of captivity. Maybe you are still imprisoned in a fear that doesn't want to bring discomfort, so you silence yourself. Maybe the liberation you need is to free your voice to speak authentically. Maybe there are people around you who are trapped and imprisoned in fear and hatred and homophobia and racism and nationalism, and you need to try and liberate them to see something different. Not because you want justice for the oppressed, but because you know it frees the oppressor too. So this is the work we're called to do, to look for the places freedom needs to be present and to bring it. So we're going to try something. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to teach you this chorus. And a couple of things as we begin. Friends don't let friends clap on the 1 and 3. They make sure they clap on the 2 and 4. And if you don't know what that is, you hopefully will. I'm going to sing this chorus to you. And as you get it, sing it with me. And as you get it, sing it louder and louder. And there's going to be a point where if you sing it loud enough, I'm going to sing something else. Don't go with me. You stay together. First, you can just tap your lap. There we go. Goes like this. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. Well, one of us is chained. None of us are free. 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 Well, one of us is chained. None of us are free. A little louder now. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. While one of us is chained. None of us are free. You can even clap your hands. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. While one of us is chained. None of us are free. Keep singing that. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. Well, one of us is chained. None of us are free. Sing it loud. None of us, none of us. None of us, none of us. If one of us is chained, none of us are free. Keep going. None of us are free. None of us, none of us. None of us, none of us. If one of us is chained, none of us are free. Keep going, keep going. Till all immigrants are free. Till all immigrants are free. Until all immigrants are free, none of us are free. Keep going, that's good. Until all queer people are free. Until all queer people are free. Until all queer people are free, none of us are free. 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 While one of us is chained, none of us are free. See that? None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. While one of us is chained, none of us are free. One more time together. None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. While one of us is chained, none of us are free. Thank you. Beautiful.
We've come to the end of our service, but not our calling in the world. We close our time together with the humble reminder that justice and equity are our spiritual practices to embrace. Each day, every day, we are blessed to be the embodiment of what is possible when justice and equity ground us in all that we do. May we go forth with the light and warmth of our chalice in our hearts until we're together again. As we extinguish this chalice flame, may the warmth of its light remain within us, guiding our steps and our hearts. Let us carry forward the strength of this community, the courage to speak truth, and the hope that transformation is possible. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. Go in peace with the light of this gathering to illuminate your way. Now please join me in reciting our Peace Fellowship blessing. Bless us with hope, bless us with care, bless us with love, bless all we share. Blessed be. Amen. Shalom, salam, namaste, ashe.